Flying across Canada and back in a single day is quite an adventure, but I had an important meeting in Vancouver that I had to attend in person. Welcome to a trip report on my flight home from that crazy day. This flight from Vancouver to Toronto represents a bit of a milestone, as it's my 400th flight ever and the 10th of 2023. The rain was unrelenting as I returned from my meeting and arrived back at the domestic terminal. The domestic check-in area was pretty empty, but I had done online check-in and had no bags to drop, so I made my way past the check-in counters, kiosks, and shops to the observation deck above the food court. I really love that Vancouver has this space accessible to anybody. You don't have to be a passenger, you don't have to have a ticket, you don't have to clear security. Anybody can just walk in, come up to the observation deck, and watch the airplanes. They even have some information boards that help you identify planes, give you some aviation history, as well as binoculars for observing things far away. Unfortunately, the weather was terrible, so my plan to do some photography was cancelled. So I thought I might as well pass through security and make my way to the Maple Leaf Lounge. Vancouver Airport is really one of the nicest airports around. Not only is the architecture quite nice, but it also has a number of art pieces that really reflect the wonderful local culture of British Columbia. Walking down the corridor from security to the Sea Pier, the airport has a number of showcases highlighting old Disney collectibles, ranging from Mickey, Disney, etc. Some of them quite vintage. Pretty cool if you're a Disney buff. They also have a number of aviation-themed showcases with scale model aircraft, many featuring airlines that either serve or have served Vancouver in the past. I arrived at the lounge, and luckily there was no lineup outside. Checking in at the front desk, I took the elevator upstairs. The domestic Maple Leaf Lounge in Vancouver is not as big and spacious as the one in Toronto. Seating is at a premium here. But the biggest redeeming quality about Vancouver's lounge is that it has beautiful views out over the apron where an av geek like myself can watch the planes come and go. As I was settling into my seat, I got a notification from the Air Canada app advising that my flight had been delayed by almost an hour. So I sat down, grabbed some food from the buffet, and did some work. It was then that I got a notice of a further delay and another delay. So while we wait for the flight, let's walk around the lounge and see what it has. Despite the delays, to be fair, Vancouver Airport was experiencing freezing rain in the morning when I arrived from Toronto, so a number of flights had been delayed or even cancelled earlier in the day. And this particular aircraft was based out of Vancouver and was supposed to fly to Calgary and back, and was delayed getting out of Vancouver, and thus the cascading delay resulting in my flight being delayed by almost 2.5 hours. Eventually, I got the notification that my flight was ready to board, so I made my way down from the lounge to the gate area. Today's flight is on board an Airbus A321. This particular one is actually 21 years old. My seat tonight is 12F, immediately behind the business class cabin. These particular aircraft have the very old Air Canada interior. However, Air Canada has announced that they will be refurbishing these A321s, giving them an interior that will match the other narrow-body aircraft in their fleet. Finally, our delayed flight pushed back, and we made the long taxi out to runway 08 right. It was still raining pretty heavily, and looking out the window, it wasn't ideal for filming at all. But I did my best under these conditions. Enjoy the takeoff. After a thundering takeoff, it didn't take long before we were into the thick cloud deck above Vancouver. Today's flight plan had us taking a slightly southerly route over the northern part of the United States before crossing Lake Michigan and into Toronto. It had been a really long day, and I wasn't expected to arrive in Toronto until 2 in the morning, so I decided to take a little nap. I will say this, these older seats have a lot more padding and cushioning and make getting comfortable a lot easier than the newer seats. At about 2 in the morning, we began our descent into Toronto from the southwest. In the distance, you could see the city of Hamilton along the edge of Lake Ontario. We flew over the northern suburbs of Toronto before making a sweeping 180-degree turn to line up runway 24 left. It was raining here in Toronto as well, as many of the citizens slept. Enjoy the landing. After making it from Vancouver to Toronto in just under 4 hours, we were fortunate that we parked at the gate closest to the main terminal. Thanks for joining me on this crazy one-day trip to Vancouver and back. I'll see you guys again soon on the next one.